Content warning bot here. Content warnings for this episode include grief, emotional distress, loss, suffering, and death. Welcome back, listeners, to our sporadic but consistent broadcast of your stories.
Loss is a terrible thing. Makes you feel empty, incomplete. This story is about Heather.
Belong to you. Believe?
This is great. So new.
2 weeks. I buried him myself.
Did he send for me before he...
No, it was me.
You?
Me. I knew that you were the last one of them left, and I wanted you here.
But why?
I said it, didn't I? You're the last cord day. 330 years, and you're the last.
Why is the factory working so late?
It's the second shift. There are 2 a day.
All night?
Aye.
But why?
It's been that way for 330 years.
It's not true, none of it.
No?
I won't listen to you anymore.
Wait. Where are you going, girl?
Down there.
You can't go there now.
I'm going to the factory. Talk to them. Find out the truth.
All right. Find out for yourself. I want you to do that. Aye. Talk to them.
When I was young, I had this friend. We'd play together almost every day after school. She taught me how to play hopscotch. I'm not very good at it. I'm still not. My balance is way off. I never saw her house or where she lived. In my childhood innocence, I just assumed she hadn't wanted to go over to hers because it was farther away. We would walk home together because I was afraid of the bus, and my mom didn't have the time to take the drive every afternoon. Every day for 5 years I walked with her. The hour it took to get from our elementary school to my block, we'd talk about anything. A new TV show, although she didn't have much opinion, or a new outdoor toy that had just come out and was hitting the ad time during the new TV show. Once again, she had little to no opinion, but she would listen as we walked. It was nice. It felt very safe, secure, if that makes any sense, when you just know you found someone that understands you and is there for you. I was a kid, and looking back, I'm sure I took it for granted. You don't really look at situations with a mature lens when you're 8. She never seemed to be interested in the normal kid stuff. She talked about books by Charles Dickens and Mary Shelley, books I hadn't been familiar with at the time. I'd nod like she did when I talked, and then I'd chime in with something along the lines of asking if there were aliens in those books. She would pause, smile, and say no, but I couldn't tell if she was joking or not. I invited her to my 10th birthday party. Double digits. She had said that many people made her nervous and she couldn't make it. I was angry at the time. She was my best friend. Why couldn't she come? I stormed the rest of the way home, slammed the door, and walked into our kitchen. My mom was in there, baking cooking, I can't remember. She had her hands in a large bowl of some kind. Without missing a beat, had asked what was wrong. I explained to her that my best friend was a traitor, and that she didn't want to come to my party even though we were best friends. My mom smiled and told me to sit at the counter. She asked me if I liked the color green, to which I replied, "No, green is gross." She liked green, she said. It reminded her of where she grew up. She tried to explain to me, age 9, what it was like for people to think differently. Looking back, it was a terrible analogy. She said that my friend's brain just worked differently and needed different things, and that my party, while making me happy and excited, would make her sad and nervous. I still didn't understand why she couldn't come, but I wasn't as angry anymore. If she would be sad at my party, I didn't want her to come. I turned 10 with all of my school acquaintances singing me happy birthday. It was still fun. Childhood emotions aren't long-lived, and the fact that she wasn't there didn't take away from the fun I had. I saw her the next Monday. She seemed sad, but I told her all about my party, and I wasn't angry at her anymore, because I knew it would make her sad to be there. She seemed a little reassured with that. She told me the party wouldn't have made her sad. It was just that being around that many people was something she hadn't done in a while, and she wasn't sure how it would go. I told her when I turned 11, it could be just a party for us, and that I could show her all the shows she was missing out on. By the time I was 11, she was gone. I didn't know where she lived, and we didn't have phones. I never saw her again. One day, we were walking home from school, and the next, she wasn't there. Classes didn't feel less empty. After I thought about it, I don't think she'd ever been in them. I never saw her at recess, and I never remember her inside my house. It's like she'd never been there. I started taking the bus. The walk was too quiet, lonely. My 11th birthday had passed with little fanfare. I hadn't wanted a party. I cried instead. My best friend was gone. I didn't understand grief or loss. I just knew that I missed her, and I didn't know where she was. I was in high school when my grandpa died. A quick thing, a blink, and he was gone. It hurt, losing someone that way. Quick, unpredicted. The funeral was nice, respectful, quiet. All those gravestones lined up makes you want to wonder. So does grief. As I wandered the graves, I found someone I knew. Well, someone I'd known. Grace. Her name had been Grace, and her last name was Howard. And she was dead. Gone. I couldn't do it. She'd never even been there. Her gravestone read, Grace Howard, love daughter, April 17th, 1983 to July 8th, 1992. My friend hadn't even been there. I finished elementary in 1997. She died just as I'd started school. I cried. I sat and cried. Why had she found me? Why had she left? What had kept her there all that time. I couldn't have done anything. She had already been gone. Lost. I graduated high school a month or so later, and I was tired. Everyone grieves differently, and I was so tired and felt fake. My childhood memories lost. Not there. She was never there. And I swear to God, I should have known. But I was so young, and she was so nice. I didn't even notice that she wasn't in my classes, or at lunch, or that she started to grow into the age she looked like as I grew up. I started college that fall. I worked that summer. I tried to grieve, and I went to visit her sometimes. My grandpa, too. I met her family. They asked me how I'd known her. I said we'd gone to school together. They said they didn't remember me, and I cried. Again. I didn't know them because I'd never met them, and they had never met me. Because she never actually knew me. They comforted me the best they could in the middle of a cemetery as I cried my eyes out. I couldn't tell them what had happened, and they didn't ask anything. Just silent understanding. I don't visit anymore, unless I'm back for the holidays. I couldn't let go of it. This friend I'd made that was perfect, who understood me and listened, never existed. She was a fated thing. I didn't make friends in university. None that were like her, anyway. They didn't want to hear about the new TV series that was coming out, or Mary Shelley. I hadn't made any friends by the time I held the degree in my hands. Any that I wanted to last, anyway. I got a job, laughed with my coworkers. I was 27, I think, when it happened. It had about been 17 years since I'd seen Grace. It still hurt in the way you don't expect to ever go away. But I was at the grocery store, and I heard her laugh. I remembered it so clearly, and I turned around, and there she was. She must have been in her 30s, and she was beautiful and alive. She was with someone else. I was too afraid to go and speak with her. She was dead. The Grace I knew was gone. This woman with her laugh and same stature and hair wasn't her. I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be her. I saw her again and again, and one day she came up to me and asked if I'd grown up near. I responded I had. She smiled, the same way I remembered, and she thanked me. Told me that we'd gone to school together, and my 10th birthday party had been the first one she'd ever gone to. I hugged her. She didn't even seem surprised, just hugged back. I didn't remember her. I tried so hard to, but I couldn't remember that far back. Faces blurred. I just couldn't. I started crying, and I hadn't even realized I was until she let go. Smiled. Again, and asked if I was free. I was. watch TV all night long. I had work the next day, but I didn't care much. She laughed at my jokes. She likes Mary Shelley and Charles Dickens. She teaches middle school. She's a saint. Her name is Grace. I don't know if she's the Grace I knew when I was young, but I don't think that's possible. But she's like her in so many ways. She laughs the same, smiles the same, looks the same. I'm older now. I know how to appreciate this. Casual conversation that turns deep and meaningful as the hours pass. I haven't told her about the Grace from my childhood. I don't think it's important anymore. I miss her. She's a part of my past, but I've met new people. Grace has a group of teachers she hangs out with. I feel a bit out of place as an accountant, but they're all nice. I don't feel alone anymore. I have friends who laugh with me and listen to me. One of them is getting married this next summer. I'm excited for them. I haven't thought much about marriage. I'd felt so alone for such a large portion of my life that I hadn't thought about it in the casual way many do. But here I am, past my 20s, single and happy. Maybe I'll get married one day. I think it's something I'd like to do. I like the idea of that commitment, of love, of time. Seeing someone that makes you feel whole, complete. Of course, I've learned that no one makes you complete because you were never incomplete to begin with. But it helps to have a reminder. Someone there that reminds you you're whole and complete. Not because they're there, but because you are.
I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't. Why? Why did you choose me? Please. I just.
That's the end of our broadcast today, folks. And thank you, Heather, for talking about the upcoming tax season. I think you're one of the only ones excited about it. See you again soon, listeners. See you again soon.
I told you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't